Thank you for choosing 5 on this Friday evening as we extend to you a comprehensive 5 News.
Tonight, cancer fears force shops to take hundreds of foods off the shelves. Some of Britain's best-known brands are affected. The Food Standards Agency says they've been contaminated by a dodgy dye. Also tonight, targeting terrorists. As Blair seeks agreement on tough new laws, we investigate the facts and fiction of Britain's war on terror. Money bags, millions are seized in police raids across Ireland. And how you and your family could begin a new life in the sun. Hello, I'm Charlie State. We begin with a major alert over some of Britain's best-known foods. Hundreds of products have been taken off the shelves. These are just some of the well-known brands involved. The Food Standards Agency says they contain a potentially cancer-causing dye that was banned almost 2 years ago. Now, we're being told not to eat the products, although the risk of cancer is likely to be small. 5's Emma Branham is with us now. Emma, tell us first of all, how many products are involved and which ones are they?
Well, Charlie, I think people will be quite horrified to find out that the dye can be found in 359 products, and that's all we know at the moment. Those products are listed on the Food Standards Agency website for people to see, but if I can give you an example, they range from sauces and soups to ready-made meals such as pizzas, shepherd's pie, steak and kidney pie. I did a count and I found at least 5 of those items in my fridge at home.
Okay, so what exactly is the dye? You mentioned it before. What is it?
Well, Sudan 1 is a red dye which is used to colour solvents, shoe cleaners, floor cleaners, that type of thing. It is banned in the UK and also in the EU, but it's still being used to colour chili powder in places like India.
Okay, we know it's banned. The question is, how did it get into the food chain?
Well, the Food Standards Agency thinks that it was a contaminated batch of chili powder which was owned by Premier Foods. This batch of chili powder was turned into a Worcester sauce, Cross and Blackwell Worcester sauce. That was then used as an ingredient in all of these products. Now, the only reason that we found out about it was that the Worcester sauce was sent to Italy, and they did tests on it in Italy and found out the problem.
Inevitably, there are going to be some people who may have eaten something which has this in it. Well, what are they supposed to do?
I think the idea is to throw away the food. The Food Standards Agency is saying to people, don't panic.
I wouldn't say anybody was particularly at risk in this case. Obviously, there's been a large number of foods that we have found have been contaminated, but as I say, the overall risk is extremely small.
So, Emma, that's the official advice. Just clarify what's being done now to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Well, since July 2003, any chili powder that now comes into the country has to have a certificate to say that it's free of Sudan 1, and checks will be carried out at ports and also by local authorities. If chili powder is found to contain this dye, then it'll obviously be destroyed immediately.
Okay, Emma, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for that. And just a reminder, if you want to see the full list of the foods affected, you can log on to the Food Standards Agency website. That's at www.food.gov.uk/Sudan list. That's all one word, and it contains all the information you'll need to know. Tony Blair has spent the afternoon trying to talk the Tory and Liberal Democrat leaders into backing his plans for dealing with terror suspects. Ministers want the power to impose curfews, use tagging, limit the use of phones and the internet. They insist it's the best way to protect us all from a terrorist attack. But 3.5 years after 9/11, is the threat really that serious? 5's chief correspondent Stuart Ramsey has been finding out.
If one listens to the governments of the United States and Western Europe, we've never faced a greater threat from terrorism attacks. Even today, the discussion is about whether people should or should not be locked up simply for being suspicious. But if one accepts that, and one also accepts that the secret services can't protect us, then just how much danger are we in?
Because this is the dilemma of being Prime Minister in this situation. Supposing one of these people actually killed a large number of people in our country, and it transpired that I'd been told by our security services that these people were a threat to our country. I just ask you, this is my dilemma as Prime Minister, how forgiving would people be?
September the 11th, 2001 changed pretty much everything. An attack we've since learned was predicted, but an attack few apparently believed could be achieved. Coping with it, protecting the nation, is the job of the Prime Minister and his government and party leaders who are invited to discuss the issue. Above all, though, it's the security services we rely on. But terror has changed. It's no longer about achieving political or social goals. It's about changing society.
What we have now is an international set of terrorists who are doing it in furtherment of a deeply felt religious belief, which says that they will be better off committing suicide to propagate their perverted view of the future of the world.
Explosives, car bombs and suicide bombings remain the most likely form of attack, but their impact is relatively small. A nuclear attack in the form of a radioactive dirty bomb ticks all the terrorist boxes. It's hugely frightening and could kill or harm thousands. So too a biological attack, anthrax or even the bird flu virus. Even our own experts say we couldn't cope. The Al-Qaeda terror group has assumed the mantle of the world's most frightening organisation. In reality, though, their reach is limited and unlikely to harm the vast majority of us. But they will strike again, and someone will die. And that's what's frightening. That's what terrorises us. Stuart Ramsey, 5 News.
Organised hunts will go ahead as planned tomorrow, despite the new law banning hunting with dogs coming into force last night. Countryside Alliance says many hunters will try to keep within the law by using an artificial scent or flushing out foxes before shooting them. Police have vowed to challenge any hunts that do go ahead and break the law. Local residents have won a High Court victory over the siting of a new runway at Stansted Airport. A judge has ruled they should have a say in where it should go and how much land should be used for it. Forensic experts are studying more than £2 million seized by the Irish police, see if it's linked to the £26 million Northern Bank raid last December. 17 bags of cash were carried out of one house in County Cork this morning.
I would appeal to any person who has recently received large sums of sterling in perhaps dubious circumstances to take this opportunity to contact the Guardian now. This may be a better alternative to those involved rather than us calling to them and carrying out searches.
Well, Fire's Gary Hunniford joins us live from outside the police station in Cork, where some of the suspects are being held. Gary, how many people are being held there and what do we know about them?
Well, in Cork City there are still 3 men and a woman being questioned. By 7 o'clock this evening, the time that they're allowed to be held should be up, so they either have to charge them, release them or go for an extension. But what we know what most is one man who appeared at the Special Criminal Court in Dublin today. He's a 30-year-old chef from Cork City, Don Bullman, and he's charged with membership of the IRA. But during that court appearance, a senior police officer, a chief superintendent, said that money that had been seized whenever this man was arrested, he believed was part of a major IRA money laundering operation. So that accounts for a number of the people. 2 other men have been released, files have been prepared on them, and they have gone to the Director of Public Prosecutions here.
Gary, thank you very much for that. Now, they've seen trading tunnels, stadia and, of course, Downing Street. But tonight is the real chance to impress members of the International Olympic Committee with a bit of royal pizzazz. The aim to convince them London is the place to hold the 2012 Games. The Queen is hosting dinner at Buckingham Palace. It's the only social occasion allowed during the visit under strict IOC rules. The guests of honour are, of course, Olympic inspectors who include former athletes, environmental and transport advisors and even a former PE teacher. They'll dine on sea bass and caramelised pear. Very nice. Instead of French wine, guests will wash down their dinner with New Zealand Reds and an Australian White. After the posh nosh, the Queen will show them to the picture gallery where they'll view the royal collection of Olympic and sporting memorabilia. The palace is pulling out all the stops for tonight's reception. Well, Five's Martin Popplewell is at Buckingham Palace for us now. Martin, I guess the thing is to say nothing wrong.
Absolutely, Charlie. There was that occasion about a month ago where the Queen was rumoured to have said that she thought that Paris was going to win the bid to take the Olympics in 2012. And that must have gone down like a lead balloon amongst those wanting to bring the Olympic Games to London. Now, the official line from the palace was that the Queen was having a private conversation with somebody. She has lots of private conversations, and the palace doesn't comment on private conversations. But the people wanting to bring the Olympics to London in 2012 will be hoping that the Queen doesn't have similar private conversations tonight. There'll also perhaps be concern amongst them that Prince Philip, who's known to have put his foot in it in the past, won't be making similar comments tonight. Interesting to note, going back to that issue you were mentioning there about them drinking wines from the Commonwealth, there's a reception before they actually sit down for dinner. They're serving English sparkling wine, no mention of champagne.
Quite right, Sue. Martin, thank you very much for that. Coming up on 5 News tonight, watch what your kids watch. New worries about violence on screen. And Ale Appreciation, the class that can quench your curiosity as well as your thirst. Don't go away. This is 5 News. Welcome back. Parents concerned about the effect that violence on television might have on their children could be worried for good reason. New research suggests media violence can indeed make young viewers more aggressive. 5's Lindy Gooden reports.
It's difficult to measure and hard to prove that children who see violence on TV or play violent computer games take that into their real lives. But a new report has brought together 6 studies in the US and found that children can become more aggressive because of what they watch.
So, what do the young game players and TV viewers think about the research? Well, first of all, Simon, what do you think about seeing violence on TV or on games?
I usually just hate it because people just take it out from the screen and just use it on other people. So.
And what do you think about it, Tom?
I sort of have mixed opinion. Some people are influenced by it too easily, and they think what they see on the television is right sometimes and try it on, as he said, other people on the street.
Last year, the parents of 14-year-old Stefan Pakira, who was murdered by a friend, Warren LeBlanc, claimed that the 17-year-old killer was obsessed with a computer game. The judge dismissed that in court. Experts say the possible impact of TV and game violence is very complicated.
A lot of it has to do with their social background and their personality makeup, so it's not a case of there being blanket effects of media violence on young people.
But how much can parents really do?
It's just too much in the face, and somehow we don't have any sort of way of controlling that.
I like violence games, but when they get too over the top, they're a bit mean.
Yeah.
And then people try them on other people.
The researchers say they've uncovered clear signs that there could be a problem with violence on TV and computer games, but they're calling for a brand new study before anyone can confirm whether it leads to violence in later life. Lindy Gooden, 5 News.
Now, if you long for sunny days and sandy beaches, the Australian government may be looking for you. It's launching a campaign to tempt British people to move to the state of South Australia. So, what's it like? Well, think big. It's actually 4 times the size of Britain, but it has a population of just 1.5 million people. Last year, nearly 1,300 Brits emigrated there, and this year, the Australian government want to lure another 2,000 to their shores by making it easier for skilled workers to get in. Dominic Waghorn has been down under to find out what's on offer.
How do you like your steak? A barbie in the park. It couldn't be more Australian, but these are British families who come to find a better life.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's bright. It just makes you feel better.
Everybody stops and talks to you here. Nothing hardship. Everybody's really friendly, helpful. It's just the Australian way.
If they make it sound tempting, the state of South Australia wants a lot more British people like them.
They've all had swimming pools. Yeah.
Emigrating to Sydney or Melbourne is getting harder and harder, but here it's the opposite. There's still plenty of room in South Australia. In fact, they've even changed the rules to make it easier for British people to move here. They want people with certain skills, like plastering. Yorkshireman Keith Oldroyd has moved smoothly into his new job. His line of work's in demand here, and almost the same as back home. Fed up with Britain's weather, crime and traffic, he and his wife Julie want a new beginning for their family.
So we'll have a large swimming pool, probably 10 metres by 4 metres.
5 months after moving here from Bradford, they've bought land and are already staking out their dream home.
To have the same sort of house in the same area in England costs you well over £1 million, I should think. And we'll have this for like 240,000 by the time we're finished.
I can't wait, can we?
No, it's a new country, it's a new sort of beginning for our family, and
a piece of paradise, isn't it?
yeah, it's our own little piece of paradise.
But there are downsides. Emigrating here is not an easy ride. It can be a long, stressful process. And Adelaide isn't as exciting as Australia's bigger cities. It has beaches, but they're a long way from Bondi. Think more Isle of Wight. For a city of more than 1 million, Adelaide can feel more like a large village. But that may be ideal for families escaping cold, cramped Britain, looking for an Australian way of life. And they can be sure of a warm welcome.
They need to have a relaxed attitude, and that's it. And they'll fit in perfectly. If they all have accents like Hugh Grant, then they can all come over.
South Australia is looking for another 2,000 British people in the coming year. If you've got what it takes, and new horizons beckon. Dominic Waghorn, 5 News, Adelaide.
And we want to know if you would consider leaving the UK to start a new life abroad. That's today's vote here on 5. Would you emigrate, yes or no? Give us a ring on 0901 101 5555 or vote by texting yes or no to 85333. Let's take a quick look at the results so far. 97% of you think yes, you would consider emigrating. Just 3% of you think no. Please keep voting. We'll bring you the final results throughout the evening. Now, if you're drinking a beer while watching us tonight, how would you really like to appreciate what's in your glass? Britain's first beer academy is hoping to change the way drinkers enjoy their ales and hopes beer tasting will become as popular as wine tasting. 5's Layla Hayes reports.
It's traditionally Britain's favourite drink, but it seems that beer now has an image problem. All too often associated with the beer gut and the lager lout, many drinkers have abandoned beer in favour of wine. But not the students at Britain's first beer academy. They're here to find out how beer is made.
We now need to leave this mash, this mixture of malt and hot water, for an hour, and the enzymes will have been triggered by the hot water and will have cut up the starch into sugars which we can ferment with yeast to make the beer.
The students will also learn the art of beer tasting. It's all part of an attempt to improve the image of the nation's favourite tipple.
I think that the commonplace nature of it has detracted from a true appreciation of its glories. When it's most simple, it is the most refreshing, the best drink in the world.
And according to the course tutors, beer is the perfect accompaniment to food. Now, when you think about beer and food, the most obvious thing that probably springs to mind is curry. But in fact, beer goes well with a whole range of foods. Lagers, like this one, are supposed to be very nice with salami. And you may not know this, but bitters are the ideal accompaniment for strong cheese. I'm also told that a cherry beer, a bit like this, is absolutely divine with dark chocolate.
What's that like? It's quite nice. It sort of offsets the sausage.
You can take a bite of that and have the beer, or the beer and the cheese, but they work well together.
I don't think it goes that well. I don't like dark chocolate and I don't like cherries. So.
For those who just want to enjoy a quiet pint, it may all be a bit too much. But with courses spreading across the country, the age of the beer connoisseur may well have arrived. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Well, in just a moment, Lara will be here with the weather, but first a reminder of tonight's top stories. Hundreds of foods have been taken off supermarket shelves after the Food Standards Agency said they contain a potentially cancer-causing dye called Sudan 1. It got into a batch of chili powder, which was then used in products manufactured by Premier Foods.
We take full responsibility for the food that we make, and we've done everything that we could. The second that we knew there was a problem, we went straight to the FSA. So we've done all things that we should. We will always re-examine our procedures to see if we can tighten them up, but everything that we've looked back in our records suggests that we've done the things properly, and there's been no criticism of what we have done.
Tony Blair has held talks with Tory and Liberal Democrat leaders over measures to deal with terror suspects, including curfews, tagging, and limiting phone and internet use. The forensic experts are studying more than £2 million seized by Irish police in County Cork this morning to see if it's linked to the Northern Bank raid last December. Coming up at 7, we get a sneak preview of the weekend's movies. Plus, we head for the home of the world's most prolific football striker. Not Madrid, Barcelona or Manchester, but Gretna. Kenny Duca is the player terrorising defences in Scotland's Division 3. Amazingly, it's the 24-year-old's first season as a full-time pro, taking time off from medical studies to break all sorts of goal-scoring records.
I knew I would get better and score goals at this level. It's obviously taken off and it's gone better than I ever could have hoped, really. So I just have to keep going and hopefully I can score as many goals between now and the end of the season.
Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm here with more news in just an hour's time from everyone here. Bye-bye.
Five Weather, in association with Birdseye.
Hi, I'm Lara Lewington. Well, I don't like to disappoint you at this time on a Friday evening, but the weekend is looking very chilly. There's more drizzle and cloud moving into the southeast, but the biggest problem is with some snow, starting off affecting Scotland and gradually moving throughout parts of eastern coastlines. The areas right close to the coast are more likely to see some slushy sleet, and a bit further inland it's going to be snow. But elsewhere we are looking at some dry conditions. Ireland seeing a bit of wet weather, but a lot of ground frost around, icy conditions on the roads once again, so do take care if you're driving. Temperature-wise, it's going to be very cold, dropping to around -4 in parts of Scotland. In the south, we're seeing temperatures drop to more like freezing point. And tomorrow morning, it's going to be a while before the ice on the roads clears away. That snow still going on for Scotland and a lot of the east, so definitely a very chilly weekend ahead. Looking quite wet for Ireland, but elsewhere it is set to be remaining dry for many of us. Top temperature about 7 or 8 degrees. Well, that's a look at our Saturday. What's Sunday got in store for us? Things are really continuing pretty much the same. More wintry showers are on their way for parts of the east, also for Scotland, but the rest of England, Wales and Ireland are going to be dry. And we're seeing a top temperature of 7 degrees throughout parts of the southwest. But in Scotland, it is looking a lot chillier. That's it from me. More weather later on.
Birdseye Food, in association with the weather.
Get daily weather forecasts for your area sent directly to your mobile by signing up for Five's weather service. To sign up, text the word weather, followed by a space and the first part of your postcode to 82100.